moment. I'll throw it back up to Derek Perniciglio, and we'll be back in the booth here in just a moment. Derek?
Thank you very much, Tony Stevens. And yes, the field comes to life. 22 cars strong. You can hear those engines fire up. A huge, pristine display of color and metal and horsepower. You're about to watch it here tonight. 125 green flag laps is slated to be the distance. Hello and welcome. If you're watching us live on CarsTour.tv, also if you're watching us on PitRow.tv or on the Speed Sport TV platform. I want to welcome everybody in. I'm Derek Perniciglio. I'll be your color commentator for the evening. Tony Stevens, your play-by-play man, will be up in the booth in just a minute. He was down on pit road, but the field is starting to roll around the racetrack. The track gone through a few changes since this afternoon. A lot of the drivers were saying that their second practice session, the track was a bit slick out there. It was a little bit greasy because it was hot, and there were some very warm conditions, which makes all of that moisture come to the surface. And as the cars are pacing around the racetrack, we're going to get ready to throw it downstairs before we go green to Blake McCandless for a pit blip.
Well, if you've been watching the Cars Tour the last couple of weeks, one of the concerns has been we've seen drivers running out of fuel at the end of these races. I know one thing that they are going to do tonight, if necessary, if there are excess caution laps, they will throw a yellow around that lap 50 marker. It is not necessarily a guarantee, but it is one thing that those drivers and teams have been talking about. A lot of drivers running out at the end of Grenville-Pickens, but it's one thing we'll have to see here because apparently everybody getting short on fuel just a little bit.
Thank you, Blake. And yeah, it has been an interesting season when it comes to fuel, Derek. We saw cars at Caraway at the end of the race running out of fuel. Mind you, that was pit strategy, and they missed the mark. Then at Greenville, 2 weeks ago, we saw a few drivers running out of fuel as we got down to the waning laps. So there was concern in the drivers' meeting today about what are you going to do? So they said, yes, if needed, we'll throw a yellow. Everybody can come down without losing your spot. You can top off the fuel tanks in the interest of competition. That's good. Speaking of goods, one thing that's not good right now, already on the pace laps, I see Tyler Matthews is on pit road. That's not good at all. The local hero is down in the pit lane, and looks like the hood is up on the Dorwitz Garage Chevrolet. That's not good.
He didn't have that great of a qualifying run earlier in the day as well. Only qualified in the 22nd position. So right now you can see the jack going underneath that number 63 machine. They're going to the right rear trying to make what looks like possible air pressure adjustment, and whatever issues that they had under the hood, hopefully they're fixed because they are pinning the hood up right now.
Looks like they'll get that thing rolling. We see our crew getting in position to figure out maybe what happened. They'll get a report on that. Let's introduce you real quick to the field. Those of you watching on Cars Tour TV and our social media free preview, here's an idea of who you can expect where and how, why. On the front row, the 77 O'Connor Hall with Deke McCaskill alongside. Then it's Carson Quapple and Braden Rogers in row 2. Justin Johnson, Jonathan Schaefer are in the third row together. Connor Jones, Jansen Marchbanks in the fourth one. 9th and 10th starters are Chase Burrow and Zach Miracle. Mason Diaz, Jason York. Then it's Bobby McCarty and Brandon Pierce with Bradley McCaskill rounding out the top 15. Chad McCumbee, Caden Honeycutt, Carter Langley, Andrew Grady, and Jacob Hefner. Final 2 starters, Tyler Matthews and Hayden Swank. We are coming to 1 lap till we go green. Momentarily, let's head down to Blake McCandless once again.
Well, and right there with Tyler Matthews, I asked the team what was the issue there. They said that was nothing wrong mechanically at all. They were simply coming down to make an adjustment. So nothing too much to worry about here. They're not worried down here in the pit, but definitely looked like a mechanical issue for a second there, but all good here for the 63.
Well, you're already in the back. You might as well make the change.
That's exactly what I'm going to say. In their defense, they've got nothing to lose. You might as well change the car up a little bit and then go from there. You can only go forward.
That's it. You saw James Ogle in the flag stand from United Rentals of Jacksonville. He will be unleashing the fury of 22 late model stock cars in just a minute. Lights are back on atop the Solid Rock Carriers pace car. I think they call that a false crescendo or something. I don't know what they call it. Nonetheless, very interesting facility.
Track was opened in 1999, 12 degrees in the turns, 5 degrees in the straightaways. It is a 0.4 of a mile facility. Not really a half mile, but close to it. And there have been 3 past Cars Tour events here when it ran under the Pro Cup banner.
And look at that crowd, too. Pretty good crowd filing in here to Goodyear All-American Speedway. They're spread all around on a picture-perfect Chamber of Commerce night. Clear sky, temperature perfect at 68 degrees with a mild north wind. And that humidity at this time, well, that'll help you feel a little bit warmer as the lights are out atop the pace car. For the fourth time this season, the Solid Rock Carriers Late Model Stock Tour is set to go green. And for the second time this year, Connor Hall will lead them through the KRC Power Steering Start Zone. James Ogle from United Rentals waves the green flag. And round number 4 of the Cars Tour season is underway.
Everybody makes it through the first lap, Tony.
They do. Connor Hall's out front. Not a surprise there. Very quick, but look at that already. We saw him starting to have a little bit of an accordion effect getting into turn number 3. Looks like braking might be a problem here in both ends of the racetrack.
And this is probably the first time that all of these drivers are out on the track with this many cars around them. Sure, they've been practicing out there, but you're usually trying to practice with nobody around you. Now you're bumper to bumper, door to door, and you're trying to navigate a track you've never been to before.
Absolutely, and that makes it difficult in a lot of these folks' minds because, well, yeah, I mean, it's difficult because you haven't been here. You don't know necessarily what you're getting into, but guess what? Connor Hall's doing a good job, and look at Deke McCaskill. He's settled back into 3rd. Braden Rogers, and the thing I like about this group now, they're just making laps. They're single file. This is already starting to remind me of an old-fashioned Myrtle Beach or a Florence Motor Speedway event where everybody is just here biding their time. Whoa, watch out, they're stacking up already in turn 3.
Almost 3 wide there for a second. Everybody was heads up, thought better of it. The 44 almost got pinched down to the inside. That was Connor Jones, but everybody's pointing in the right direction right now. But going back to what we were talking about, Tony, talked to Carson Quapple earlier in the day, and they said conservation is going to be the #1 thing to watch for this entire race. Those that can save their equipment the best, they're the ones that are going to be running up front at race's end.
And that's really the case at a lot of these tracks, especially here in the eastern seaboard where it gets so sandy and gritty. And look at Mason Diaz. Bit of an aggressive move there under braking. And in talking to Carter Langley and some other folks, it also comes down to not just tires, Derek, but brakes. And folks said they're carrying so much speed as we're 3 wide down the back straightaway. Diaz underneath of the 4 of Justin Johnson. Let's move Diaz now up to 7th. Look at Chase Burrow on the outside as well. They said brakes are going to come into play because you're carrying so much speed into some of these tight corners.
That's definitely believable. Unfortunately, Connor Jones getting shuffled back and all of that fracas. But yeah, and the other thing that they talked about was tire wear at this racetrack, and not necessarily because of the rough surface. It's because of the load on the tires into the corner, because you are diving into turns 1 and 3 so hard, and there's the number 8 car up on the outside like we were talking about, running or challenging for that 3rd spot.
Yeah, he started back in the 9th position, and Chase Burrow is a little bit of a hard charger, Derek. He's up there. Mason Diaz is making the outside work. So these guys are just deciding that, hey, let's get track position early. Look at Andrew Grady back there in the black 1 car.
Look at Mason Diaz on the outside, Tony.
Diaz is coming to the front, and he is pulling no punches. Challenge for the lead off turn 4. New leader, lap number 10. Mason Diaz to the point in turn 1.
And Connor Hall just kind of thought better of it and said, you know what? Let's let him go, because look how fast he's starting to take off from the rest of the field. You're not going to be able to last very long. You start making moves like that all race long.
Absolutely. And look, here comes Andrew Grady. The same with him. They said, you know what? Go ahead. We'll see what happens later. And Connor Jones, another young hard charger, said, all right, I'll adopt that strategy too. I want to be in the front. Move Connor Jones up the 3rd around the veterans. Connor Hall, Deke McCaskill, and all those guys just putting around the bottom right now, saving their stuff.
That's right. We are still a long way from home. So this is the first chapter of what's going to happen in this story here tonight.
It certainly is. And those of you watching on social, hey, tell us where you are watching from, who you're cheering for, what you think about this Goodyear All-American Speedway. And this, of course, NPM Marketing Free Preview, well, guess what? It'll go away on lap 25. So you've got 12 more laps to preview this New River 125 by United Rentals. And what I'm seeing already, Derek, I think you need to become a subscriber because, well, this is getting good already. Speaking of good, I think Blake McCandless has more on some of our runners already down the pits. Blake, what you got?
Well, Tony, I was talking to the team of 24, Mason Diaz, who was obviously shot out to the race lead, and I was asking, are you concerned about tire wear at all? We've heard that theme time and time again. Mason Diaz and his team confirmed they just want the ductwork to be okay. They think they're stacking up too much on the bottom right now in the middle of the pack. They want to get out front of it and not be a part of it.
Thank you, Blake. And as soon as he said that, Derek, I see there's already a ding on the hood of Mason Diaz. And that may be why they wanted to get out of that group, as he said, just to make sure the ductwork doesn't get dinged up. Set the pace yourself.
Well, that and also what you're not getting is maximum airflow to that front end of the car. And if the ductwork is crushed, you want to get as much airflow in as you can. And if you're caught behind cars, it's not going to happen.
You can keep the brakes real hot when you can't get airflow.
Very true.
Looks like everybody's starting to calm down right now. You see him single file by our speed shot. First real battle, well, it was there with Chase Burrow and Deke McCaskill, and I'm intrigued. Burrow's back now in about the 7th spot. It's like somebody got on the radio to him and said, hey, not yet. Stay with the guys you're racing with. They're there for a reason. They know what they're doing.
Right. Take your time. And the two drivers that are actually showing that are Deke McCaskill in the 08 and that number 8 of Carson Kvapil. If you notice, they're fast. They haven't made any big moves. They haven't made do anything that has stood out from anyone else, but they are consistently right there. And I think that is what's going to help throughout the course of this race.
Fight now for about the tail end of the top 10. That's the 41 of Bradley McCaskill. McCaskill scored in 10th last time by, started all the way back in 15th, so he is an early riser in this one, trying to get 9th from Jonathan Schaefer, but talked to Jonathan Schaefer earlier today, and he said, you know, turn 3 reminds me a lot of Wake County, who had a late charge at Wake County, and with 5 more laps may have had a shot to win. Jonathan Schaefer last year, so keep your eye on that number 91 Toyota, and if you're watching on social, clock's ticking, folks. You got 4 laps to go on the free preview before we shut it off. So head on over to www.carstour.tv to become a subscriber and check out this and all the other races as part of the Pit Road TV family.
Jonathan Schaefer up on the outside right now while that entire line is down on the bottom. He's not necessarily getting freight trained. He's just keeping it up there, just rolling around the top. And he's taking a wider arc around the track, too. And with that wider arc, you're not leaning on the tires that much.
No, you're not, and I'm watching those guys further back. They're about half a lap back, just saving their stuff. As fight now for position 4, Carson Kvapil has decided that he might go to the outside. And look at Connor Jones, same thing for him. Look at the fight for second. Connor Jones to the outside in the white 44. Grady back to third. Connor Jones wants to lead this race now.
You know, one of the things that I noticed is...
Mason Diaz!
Oh, no!
Big smoke out of Diaz's Chevrolet, and the hand out the window looks like Mason Diaz's day, night, and race